all about. To start with, going to be knowing the organizers of this particular bootcamp. So the organizers of this particular bootcamp is Amdo Analytics. Welcome you all to today's lecture. So we're going to be learning about cybersecurity. At the end of this training, we'll be becoming, after the full training, a cybersecurity professional. So this particular training is directed for cybersecurity professionals all over. So who are the organizers of this particular training? Amdo Analytics. Amdo Analytics are the actually organizers of this particular training. Now, Amdo Analytics is an EdTech institute that has been able to train and certify over 4,000 participants, and they've been able to grant scholarship in the field of data analytics, etc. Now, Amdo Analytics does upskill hands-on training. They are focused on hands-on upskill training, mostly in the tech field, and we go to do trainings from data analytics to business analysis, HR analytics, cybersecurity, data engineering, data science. So we get the best in the industry as our tutors and our facilitators to actually conduct this training at Amdo Analytics. And we are the organizers of today's bootcamp that we're having right now. Now, a little bit about myself. I'm going to be your facilitator for today's bootcamp. I'm actually the cybersecurity lead for Amdo Analytics. My name is Prince Okeke. I'm the cybersecurity lead for Amdo Analytics. I am certified from a lot of organizations and institutes from ISC2, CompTIA, Cisco, Google, etc. I'm in the line of penetration testing, and I'm an analyst. So I'm an analyst when it comes to cybersecurity, and I've worked and I'm still working with multiple organizations. That is just a little bit about myself. So let's get right into our training. We're going to try and make this training as interactive as possible. And we are going to, so if you're active, you can always unmute your mic to say something, ask questions if you don't understand anything we're trying to discuss during the course of this training. You understand? So this whole bootcamp is going to be centered about cybersecurity and threat management. We're going to be taking a little bit of practical by tomorrow on this training, but we're going to be introducing cybersecurity and covering some very little key points in cybersecurity or little things we need to know. So if you're on this call and you've heard about cybersecurity before, you can as well always unmute and make contributions. We would like to hear. But let's get right into the cybersecurity. What is cybersecurity? Let's know what cybersecurity is all about. We've been hearing about cybersecurity. What is cybersecurity really focused on? Because a lot of people get to mistake cybersecurity for different fields or don't understand the whole role of cybersecurity. You understand? So today we want to understand what cybersecurity is. We want to learn about what managing threats is. And we're going to be focusing on a particular type of threats and how we can mitigate it in the field of cybersecurity. By tomorrow, hopefully, we'll be identifying a particular threat and seeing how we can remediate or mitigate it. Okay, so cybersecurity. What is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is the practice of protecting systems, networks, programs from digital attack. Now, layman foundational understanding of cybersecurity is the ability to protect from cyber attacks or digital attacks. The whole general understanding of cybersecurity always falls down to this. Now, the thing we should also understand is when we're discussing cybersecurity, we are discussing from a point of there are a lot of procedures or methods we use to protect from digital or cyber attacks. There are a lot of ways these protections can be carried out when it comes to cybersecurity. You understand? So when we go further in learning about this particular field and when we start to take our full trainings by the 25th of this month, when we start taking full trainings, we will learn. One of the things we will try and do or we will do in AMDO is to teach you in depth on the entirety of cybersecurity and how to protect yourself, your family, your loved ones, your organizations from cyber or digital attacks. Now, these cybersecurity are usually aimed on assessing, changing, or destroying. Cyber attacks are focused on assessing, changing, and destroying sensitive information or data, not just sensitive information, or extorting money or defrauding people through lots of means. It could be ransomware, which is a malware. It could be based on phishing attack. It could be a lot of means. You understand? These cyber attacks are here to cause damage. Now, this is why we need cybersecurity. We need cybersecurity because we are very much aware that these cyber attacks are here to cause damage. They are here to cause disruption. They are here to harm us as individuals. Are we following? So cyber attacks are here to cause damage, destruction, harm us as individual, harm our family, harm our friends, harm us. In short, every day, at least every day, we have over 2,000 attacks or more. Every single day, more than 2,000 attacks happen on Earth. And how do we get to protect ourselves against this attack, if not from learning how to either protect ourselves, protect our networks, protect our endpoint devices, which is our phones, our laptops, etc. Cyber security awareness in general is the major way we learn to prevent these attacks from happening. And attacks can come in different is in short, there are a lot of part of cybersecurity that and mostly cyber attacks that come in the physical side of security where we have physical attacks. And even as cybersecurity specialists or professionals, we are trained to prevent and stop such attacks. So it even goes way beyond the digital phase because some part of the cyber attacks we're seeing that involve digital attacks start from physical attacks a lot of times. So cybersecurity is centered on stopping cyber attack from even the starting point, which could, as I said, be physical attacks. So let's go further. Now we want to be looking at careers in cybersecurity. We want to look at some careers in cybersecurity. We want to look at what they entail. We want to know. Now, mind you, we have just four listed here on this side because of how the bootcamp is structured. We don't want to take so much time. Nevertheless, I want you to understand that there are over 100 roles and career in the fields of cybersecurity. And I always advise students when you come into the field of cybersecurity and you want to learn, you have to know where you want to go into. And this is why I always emphasize on learning under a mentor. Because if you do that, there is no how the person will not direct your path in that particular field you want to go in that particular choice you've made that you want to learn from. So we do our possible best at AMD Analytics to make sure that we guide your path through our course of training. Why? So you can be successful in that cybersecurity career path. Now, cybersecurity, as I said, has over 100 roles, over even more than 200 roles. You understand? So it's wild. So you need to know which one you want to specialize in and pick up. If not, you will learn the field, except you're learning the field, which for knowledge sake, which is actually also very good for awareness to protect yourself, which I always advise, or protect your family, protect your friends. If you're learning it for the sake of working to protect others or working to protect data in organizations, you need to learn what role fits you because it's not all roles that would fit you. A lot of people are not technical people when it comes to doing things. So they might want to come into cybersecurity to learn, still work in a career path and work without a technical skill. And cybersecurity has that. We also have people that are here to learn and they love handling technical things, using tools, using hands-on tools, learning how to implement security on a network-based cloud, etc. They also have a space for them here. So you want to know what you want to do before you start or decide to jump into cybersecurity. Now, that being said, let's look at these individual career paths. Let's also see what they entail. We might also do more research, you understand, on them. So we'll cover for these four, and these four, where we're covering these four in this bootcamp is because these four are actually very major, and you can see people doing more than one of these four. In this four, which is actually very nice. Nevertheless, we want to know about this four. We want to know what fits us and where we want to be. We also want to know where we want to be because that's another thing. You might start in a particular career path in cybersecurity, but that is not where you want to end. So you also want to know where you want to be as time goes on. So let's start from the very basic one that we all hear about, which is the cybersecurity analyst. Now, the cybersecurity analyst is the one that oversees a computer network and system and protects them from cyber attacks or from attacks. Basically, they are the ones we know that this is when we say cybersecurity, this cybersecurity professional, specialist. This is the first thing that comes to their mind. These are the ones that oversee a network, an endpoint device, which is your phones, your laptop, protect it from cyber attack. You understand? So they use analytical skills to identify flaws in computer security systems and protect their sensitive information and data. So basically, what this is saying that the security analyst is the one to come into an organization and look at the structure of his network and say, okay, this system is vulnerable, or this system is the one that is easiest to hack. So let's try and make it more secured. The cybersecurity analyst is the one that is there for protection. This particular skill or this particular career path is purely technical. This is a purely technical career path. There's nothing non-technical about this. If you're going into this particular field in cybersecurity, you must learn how to utilize tools. You must learn how to utilize, you must have hands-on experience. Are we following? So if you're going to be going into this particular part of cybersecurity, get ready because you must utilize tools, you must have hands-on experience. This is for people that want to get their hands dirty in the field of cybersecurity. And they are really looking into protecting, learning about networks, learning how networks work, how to secure devices. These are where they fall. So these are the first ones. So now let's look at another career path. So we have the cybersecurity investigators. Now, these are the people, just like normal investigators that we have, private investigators. They investigate what has gone wrong. If there's a cyber attack, if there's been an incident prior or before, how to learn from that incident, how to track people that were involved in cyber attacks. So when we hear things like, okay, the police or the law enforcement were able to track down somebody that was involved in a cyber theft or cyber attack or fraud, is the cyber security investigators that come in to do those tracking. They investigate incidents. Okay, what has happened? Was it a cyber attack? Okay, how was the cyber attack carried out? They also try to retrieve information and data that was lost. They also track the unauthorized person that was able to access or gather information. Are we following? So basically, the cybersecurity investigators are here to know what went wrong in your system or your network, and how they can recover if there is stolen data or there is data loss, that information you want, and try and also track the cost of the people or cost generally of what caused that cyber attack or cyber theft. So that's what the cyber security investigation or investigators really do in the field of cyber security. They want to get to the bottom of things. How were we attacked? What happened that this attack was possible? Was our system down? Was our network down? Does our network not have proper security? Okay, good. If it does not have proper security, how can we make the security better? Are we following? So for cyber security and cyber attack, these are the guys that investigate all that is happening in that field, basically. So I hope you're following it. If you're following, please, you can always signify, let me be sure that you're following me. All right. So we're going to be looking at another career path in the field of cyber security. Now, this career path is the one we all get to hear about, and a lot of people that jump into cyber security, they always come for. Now, these are the cyber security pen testers, or we call them penetration testers. Pen testers or penetration testers. Now, the cyber security pen testers or penetration testers, they have one word. The same way these cyber security analyst guys are here to protect the system and make sure it's secure. The same way they're here to protect the network and make sure it's secured. The pen testers, on the other hand, are here to penetrate a system and get into the system. Are we following? They are here to break it. So these are the guys we call hackers in cybersecurity. When people come in and say we want to learn hacking, they want to be pen testers. So we call them penetration testers for short, or pen tester for short. Now, they perform simulated attacks on companies' computer system on network. Now, because they are part of cybersecurity, and I keep saying cybersecurity is all about protecting, what pen testers do are they are trying to break into your system to show you the weak spot in your system, to show you that you should properly better your security. So a bad hacker or a black hacker would not be able to penetrate that system. So the entire work of penetration testers is to try and break in and show you the weakness or the flaws in your network or your system. So these are the penetration testers. They are called the pen testers. We also call them the ethical hackers. They are here to bypass your security. Now, don't forget, as I said, the analytical guys are here to protect. They are building the structures that the pen tester will test to break into. The investigators are here to carry out investigation in case there's a cyber attack. So I hope we're following up until this point. They all perform different duties. Now, can you see how broad cybersecurity actually gets and the career path actually gets? It is quite very broad. So we have the pen testers trying to break in. Then we have the security managers or the CISO. So I know we've heard of CSO for all of us in physical security, or when we go to the banks or wherever, they'll say this is our chief security officer for the banks, you understand, or wherever organization we go to. When it comes to cyber security, we call them the CISO. So it's chief information security officers, and they are the ones that head the managerial position in cybersecurity. Now, these particular guys, they can come with all sorts of lead names. They can be called cybersecurity leads. They can be called chief information security officers. It is depending on the organization. You understand? They can be called cybersecurity managers, cybersecurity directors, depending on the organization. But these are the guys that we call the CISO. Now, these guys are the highest guys when it comes to the career in cybersecurity. They are the number one guys. These particular guys are here to oversee everything in cybersecurity. They oversee the organization network, the organization security posture, internally and externally. And when I'm talking about internally, I'm talking about inside the network from the back end. When I'm talking about externally, I'm talking about things that an external person can see that can make them vulnerable. They oversee everybody. So if you're working as a pen tester, or if you're working as an investigator, or if you're working as an analyst, you would always report to the security manager. So they are the highest role in cybersecurity. They are the people we call white team in cybersecurity. They make sure they bring the balance. You understand? They make sure they bring the balance. Now, one thing I always say when I'm talking about this particular role is for you to be in this particular role, there are two things you must know, or there are major things you must know. Number one, you must be able to understand how penetration testing works, and you must be able to understand how analysis work in cybersecurity. Meaning you must know how to do the protection part of cybersecurity, and you must also know how to do the hacking part of cybersecurity. If not, you can't function as a manager. Now, why do we have to know how to do these things? For very simple and one reason only. For the fact that you might be in situations where you are sitting as a manager in the field of cybersecurity and people will approach you to tell you this is happening, we're trying to break into this system and we are conducting OSINT and reconnaissance on this particular company or this particular person and we're not able to gather information. If you don't understand what the person is saying, you are confused. So you must know how penetration testing works and how it is being carried out and the rules governing penetration testing. Same with analysis, because those are the people you're managing. So if you've not gone through those two career paths, you can't become a manager. So obviously, people in the cybersecurity managerial role have stayed long in the field of cybersecurity. They've learned from both sides of cybersecurity. They can give advice. They can be called for consultations. I'll be following. Now, one of the things we also try and do during the course of this our classes, we want to also know how much these guys actually make in this field before we finish our class. So we want to know how much this guy actually make on an average, you understand, in the US and generally before we call it a day. So we want to now go into looking at threat management. We want to look at threat management. Now, threat management in cybersecurity refers to the process of identifying, assessing, mitigating, and monitoring potential security threats to an organization, system, networks, and data. Now, basically, layman understanding what threat management is looking at is there a threat? Are we at risk of a threat? How can we know if we're at risk of a threat? If there is a threat, what kind of threat is it? On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is it going to affect us? Now, it also looks at how can we stop this threat or how can we minimize it? Because there are two different things. It's one thing to stop a threat. That's something that is going to harm you, like a cyber attack, etc. Is another thing to minimize it, to make sure that this threat is not bad. This threat is not going to harm you. It's another thing to minimize this threat and tolerate it, because it's still risk tolerance. You can actually be tolerating a particular thing you're at risk at and be managing if you cannot stop it. Now, when I'm looking at this threat from different angles. We're looking at it on a network, we're looking at it on our systems, we're looking at it in our environment. I'll give you a typical example. Normal anti-malware, or will I say virus, is a threat to our system. For us to contact virus, meaning that's our system to contact viruses, meaning our system must have been at risk and is affected. So how do we manage such situation where our system contacts virus? That is what threat management is all about. Now, prior to even managing it, when we've contacted it, threat management is also looking at what can we do to even prevent that virus from to come for coming to our system. We want to know what we can do to prevent our system from having virus. So threat management is looking at how can we identify a threat. How bad is this threat? How can we stop this threat? How can we prevent this threat? How can we manage this threat? That even if we're going to be getting attacked or whatever by this threat, we can handle it. So the threat management, the goal is to minimize the risk of damage caused by a cyber attack and enhance the ability to respond to other threats effectively for future reference most times. So now the thing you should also understand about threat management is we are looking for proactive ways. So I spoke about preventing these threats. So we're looking for proactive methods or proactive ways to make sure that these threats that we're facing, we are preventing it. And when I'm talking about proactive, I'm talking about something we are always monitoring and trying to act on immediately. Now, this is where I talked about preventing threats, because there are some kind of threats you might not be able to manage, and you don't want that happening to you, your organization, your family, your friends. For example, if you have a virus attack, we all know some of us have encountered virus attack or some other malwares. We'll see that can damage our system. We know, basically. They are malicious, they have malicious intentions, so they will damage your system. Cyber attacks will damage your system, they will steal from you. That's what we've established when we're discussing cyber security, the word cyber security. They've damaged your system, they've stolen from you, they've affected you. So because of these things are going to do these things, we want to manage them. We don't want them happening to us. We don't want them happening to us at all. So we want to prevent it. So that is where the proactive means of handling threats comes in. You want to prevent these threats to your system. So one of the proactive means now, if I was going to prevent virus from affecting my system, is by using an antivirus. Are we following? Now, why do we have antiviruses on our system? It's to make sure that viruses don't come into our system. Now, we've been able to manage the threat of any virus that comes into our system. We are able to stop it. I hope we're following. So any virus that comes into our system, we're able to manage it, we're able to stop it, we're able to handle it. If the virus comes into our system and is beginning to damage things, we also want to have the antivirus stop it. We also want to look for other means to stop it. So applying this to other part of our lives, let's say our family, our friends, as I said, organizations that we're working for, we want to also prevent it. Typical example of another proactive ways to prevent threats for viruses again is we are working in an organization or our working system. We have antivirus really in place to prevent it in case there's a virus that comes in. What if someone wants to insert a flash drive or a USB drive that has virus on it? One of the physical proactive means to prevent this particular threat is by saying, no, I don't allow flash drives that I don't know what the content may be into my system. There are a lot of people that just by this little bit of physical, we don't permit this as a policy or as their policy, they've been able to counter a lot of threats. So that is another means of managing that is proactive. I don't want you inserting your flash drive into my system because it might contain virus, it might contain worm. There are things more deadlier than virus, obviously, malware. When we go into further lectures in our main class, we will learn there are a lot of things more dangerous than viruses. Now, we don't want them coming to our system at all. So we'll prevent them from even happening. We would not wait until the flash drive is inserted on our system and our antivirus starts to delete it. Because don't forget, the same way our antivirus is updated is the same way those anti-malwares or those viruses are very updated. So when it comes to threat management, proactively, you might also want to prevent this particular virus from coming into your system. I hope we're following. If you also don't understand, you can always call me back. So we want to use this to protect our sensitive data. We want to use this to protect our infrastructure. We want to use it to protect the people around us, the organization we work for. So threat management is looking at how can we protect ourselves from all this kind of malwares, basically. That is what threat management is looking at. So by tomorrow, we'll be discussing a particular type of threat and how we can manage it or how we can stop it. By tomorrow, I'll be doing practical on it. Are we following? Just for us to understand it, that is why we're taking this particular introduction today, so you can understand it. So before you go further, I believe everybody on this call understands what threat management is. And I believe we've been able to take note so far from the careers in cybersecurity, what cybersecurity is, down to threat management. Down to threat management. So we want to also look at how threat management is done. We want to know how do we manage these threats, which is some things I already explained by I was explaining this particular slide about proactively managing it and those examples, two examples I gave. But let's look deeper into how do we manage these threats or how threat management is done. So one of the ways we manage threats is continuous monitoring. And what is continuous monitoring? Continuous monitoring is when we have our antiviruses always scanning our laptop for viruses. Simple like that. When we see all those things, when we see our antivirus, okay, perform a quick system scan, perform a in-depth scan. Those are threat monitoring. We're looking at, is there any new virus or is there any new malware that has come into our system? So we're continuously monitoring the system in case of a threat. Now, don't forget, a means of deploying this threat can be a lot. This is not just the USB flash drive example I gave. It will also come from the internet. It could also come from even your best friend. It could come from your brothers and your sisters, your family, your relation. They might find a way to deploy threats to you. So you want to continuously monitor to make sure that that particular information you're guarding, that particular data you're guarding, you're protecting it properly. So another thing you want to do, and another process, the second process in threat management is analysis. You want to analyze it. Now, why are we conducting analysis? We want to know what kind of threats we are getting. Because how we handle a virus is not the same way we handle a ransomware. It's not the same way we handle a worm malware. So you want to analyze to know what kind of threat it is. It could be a malware attack. It could also be a phishing attack. It could be a DDoS attack. There are a lot of attacks. So it could be a lot of ways that you're being affected. So you want to analyze and say, okay, this threat, what is it? What kind of damage can it cause? Am I capable of handling it? Should I let it go? Or the damage, is it too much? Do I need to condemn my system or laptops? Are we following? Do I need to condemn my laptops? Do I need to condemn my system? These are things you want to find out. So responding to both internal and external security risks, which could range from simple malware attacks to complex sophisticated adversities. So these things, as I said, they can come from very basic things like viruses coming in your system to serious attacks. on multiple platforms on different ways. So they don't just come as, okay, it's just a malware attack, or it's just a virus attack, or it's just no. They come in and they are there to cause serious damage. They're there to cause serious damage. So now we've been able to understand that, we want to look at earnings in cybersecurity. As I said, there are multiple earnings. Then we'll take questions and maybe ask questions depending. So let's check the earnings. Now we can always check the earnings using Google. Let's see how much we make in the field of cybersecurity. We want to know how much we make in the field of cybersecurity. So, typical search. The question is, how much does the cybersecurity analyst make? So, we want to see how much. Okay, how much does the cybersecurity analyst earn in the US? So now we want to know how much they earn. And why we're even asking this is because I want you guys to understand that the earning varies. They come to the field, say they want to become hackers, penetration testers. They also need to know the earning. So you will now know the guide to follow. If you're really doing this for the money, you want to know where the money is, right? Good. So now, in the US, a cybersecurity analyst average annual salary is $102,000, with the range of $65,000 annually to 160. Now, whatever country you are, you can always convert this to know how much you will earn if you're working as an analyst in the field of cybersecurity. We're seeing 102, right? Good. Now, why this is because, as I said, you are going to be checking for different fields in the cybersecurity line. We also want to do for penetration testers or ethical hackers. We're going to do for all of them. We'll even see if we can do for the private for the investigators. So let's see how much pen testers earn in cyber security. So we've been able to see, as I said, here we're able to see 106, right? Annually. And now we are seeing, as of March 2025, pen tester earn $122,000. We have another research that says 119, entry level position earns about 96. Now, what this result is giving us is entry level position. Entry level position earn as at 96, while experienced pen testers earn as at 158,000 annually. Now, if entry level certification or entry level position for pen testers, they earn $96,000 annually. And we've been able to establish that for the analysts, they earn 106 or so thereabouts annually. We can always say that an analyst earn higher than a pen tester in the field of cybersecurity. So for those of you that are coming to say, if you're coming in for the money, I want you to understand an analyst for entry level will earn higher than you. And mind you, this is just on an average salary. So it will always go up. It will always go up. So now let's look at it. We need to establish 102.96. Let's look at the cybersecurity manager. Let's know what a manager in the field of cybersecurity earns annually. We want to see that. Now, When I was telling you guys, these guys are the highest level, they are different. In the US, a cybersecurity manager average salary is around 130, with a range of 82,000 to 205,000. So they are the highest earners in the field of cybersecurity anywhere. So if your goal, or will I say, if money is the drive, this is where you should aspire to be. Though, as I said, it comes with a lot of work. You have to know penetration testing. You have to know how analytics work to earn this kind of money as a manager in the field of cybersecurity. So that is what you should know. You have to know penetration testing, analytics to earn this much in the field of cybersecurity. So before we call it a day, do we have questions? Do we have questions? Let's know. If there are questions you have for me, please let me know, or you can ask them now and I would answer you based on what we taught today in this bootcamp. For those of us that were able to join. If you have questions, please let me know and I will answer you before we call it a day. Okay, so I take it that we don't have any question for today's training. Thank you
Yeah, I
all
have
that
one. I could
joining.
hold on. I got one question.
We'll be ending the meeting right now. Or do you have a question?
Yeah, I understand cybersecurity's got different aspects. So, what does all that mean?
You wanted to ask for cybersecurity differences. Did I get that
Yeah,
right?
it's got different aspects. Yeah, like SOC, GRC, and some other one. I can't remember what it is now. What do they mean? How does it
I'm
work?
sorry,
How
you're
come?
really breaking. I didn't hear that.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, Kenny, I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah. So I understand cybersecurity's got different aspects, like SOC, GRC, and there's one other one I can't remember. How does that work with all these job descriptions you've just described just now?
Okay, so the GRC is one of the non-technical roles in the field of cybersecurity. They are the ones that handle the policy, standards, procedures, documentations, basically, in the field of cybersecurity. They are non-technical roles. They are not among these particular ones I have mentioned. Majority of all these roles I actually covered today are technical roles. I hope you can hear me clearly. They are technical roles. Now for the GRC, they are non-technical roles. A lot of times, the people in the role of GRC, they need to have documentation skills and understanding law enforcement governing regions
Oh, all right.
in the field of data protection and information, basically. So most times, to be sincere with you, I have people that are in the analytical side always divert into the GRC or do a little bit of that, you understand? But the GRC, one thing you should know is it is non-technical part of cybersecurity, and they do more of documentation, making sure policies are being implemented, etc. Did you get
Okay.
that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So basically, that's what they do. So one of the things we're going to be doing also when we start our full training by the 25th is we're going to be talking about a lot of these roles again and covering them in depth. Then again, we also want to be, as I said, mentoring and directing people's paths in the roles of the cybersecurity. Because as I said, not everybody can handle technical stuff. A lot of people are here to just learn about cybersecurity, know how it works, and implement it without having technical skills, but knowing how to implement policies and the rest. You understand? So you could also come in for that in this field. We're also going to be discussing GRC as a topic. Yes, it's one of the topics we take in cybersecurity and things under them. So don't worry. Once you join us, you'll be able to learn everything concerning JRC that you need to know. As it stands, I even have some students working on JRC projects right now in Nando Analytics. So it's not a far-fetched thing. You'll be able to learn it properly. So any other question before we call it a day? Okay. All right. Thank you all for joining us today. We'll be ending the meeting now. I hope to see everybody again tomorrow so we can learn more and be able to do our practicals. All right. Have a nice day and good night to everybody.